Kaveh, you are from Tehran. You have friends and family there. I'm sure there are a lot of phone calls, WhatsApp messages. What are people telling you about what they're dealing with right now?
I see a state of confusion. On one side, they understand that this is a real problem. The pressure of water has dropped. There are interruptions in water access overnight or some other hours of the day. They see what's going on, the reservoirs, satellite images, and so on. But there's also a state of denial in a way because it's hard to imagine that the city with so many reservoirs around it, and a city that guaranteed 100% coverage of clean water at every home is suffering from a situation like this and is now water bankrupt. So lots of frustration and confusion.
When you hear President Pezeshkian talk about a potential evacuation or relocation of Tehran, I mean, what do you make of those words?
The first thing is to maybe understand that he wanted to imply that this is a serious issue, because I think the general public has not yet taken this matter seriously. And if it doesn't rain, then the problem is going to get even worse. We are talking about a few days or even weeks of water left for Tehran. Day zero, as we call it in the water sector, is near. It's a day that the taps would run dry. But evacuation is not easy. During the Israel attacks on Iran, President Trump posted on social media and encouraged Tehranis to leave Tehran, and soon he got educated that it's not possible. I was not expecting to see the president of Iran not knowing that. So evacuation is not possible. Relocation also is not something you do overnight. Yet the government has had the policy that, or a measure that they have tried in the past, that through prolonging weekends, shutting down schools and offices, they encourage people to leave the city during the weekend or those long weekends. And that if you only have a few days of water left, saving even a few hours would make a difference.
In terms of answering the question, how did things get to this point? What happened?
Well, Iran's water bankruptcy problem is nothing new. There are underlying problems. Most importantly, more than 70% of Iran's over 90 million people are in a few metropolitan areas. That sort of human concentration anywhere in the world would cause trouble. There is an inefficient agriculture sector, and it's accountable for not more than 90% of water allocation. It's absolutely inefficient. And then many wrong policies and the lack of appreciation for water being a limit to growth. We have seen it in other countries in the region where the ambitious leaders in the Middle East got fooled by the oil income and thought that by investing more in technology and over-reliance on technology, they can address their fundamental shortcomings, and we see that that's not the case. But on top of that issue, we have a paralyzing drought, and so it's a catalyst coming on top of that. So the house was already on fire, and climate change and drought are adding fuel to that fire. The flames are everywhere and no longer deniable.
You warned the leadership in Iran about some of these problems when you were deputy head of the country's environment department. When you were raising those concerns, though, it didn't bring on change. You were detained.
Well, the governments don't listen to scientists or even I was an insider at some point because it's business as usual is the best strategy for those who want to have a longer life in policy making, right? So we are hearing warnings about climate change and mismanagement of water everywhere in the world. At least in Canada, you don't get detained or get accused of espionage for the enemy and making up all those stories. Unfortunately, yes, that's how I got penalized for saying those things based on peer-reviewed work and science. But I also understand that those changes are very hard to make. If you have your farmers employed in the agriculture sector, and your economy is under sanctions, and you're in a war, and you have decided to fight with the rest of the world, the only solution you have is burning your natural resources to be able to withstand the pressure. This doesn't mean that I support the policy of fighting with the world, but I'm saying that this is the expected consequence of that. Iran needs to create alternative employment opportunities for their farmers and the rural population in other sectors. And that's a mission impossible unless it can diversify its economy, which cannot be done unless Iran resolves its issues with the West and decides to manage its system differently.
Is there rain in the forecast soon?
Rain can bring a temporary relief. We are not seeing anything significant in terms of forecast. Of course, fortunately, science tells us that still we are not very good in forecasting. So I hope that the reality would be better than what we see. But here and there, rain can help. Snow is what they need more than rain. But those are temporary reliefs, right? They're like giving Tylenol to someone who is suffering from infection. It takes the pain away, the headache goes away for a few hours, but the infection keeps getting worse and worse. Iran needs a radical shift in its environmental behavior and water management.
Kaveh, I appreciate this. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.